Our discussion is on world trade, but we do need to touch on the coronavirus because while we do not know the extent to which this is going to have an impact on growth and trade, it will have an impact. Victor Gao, as you can see, is on Skype from Beijing. I'm going to move over to have a chat with him now. Victor, hi, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you can hear me.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Very well, and we're sorry you can't be here in person, but grateful to you for taking the time to speak to us via Skype. Victor, I want to start with
It is a great honor to meet you by Skype.
Good, thank you very much. I want to start with the coronavirus because markets have tanked over the last 24 hours. Wall Street down 3.5%, Asian markets took a hit. But in China, the sense is that there's no new reported cases. What's your feeling about the impact on the Chinese economy of the virus?
Thank you very much for having me. You may know China is right now in the middle of this epic struggle against the coronavirus. The whole country is fully mobilized to fight against COVID-19, as we call it. And right now, I think even though we are not yet coming out of the woods, the situation is getting much better in terms of newly confirmed cases, in terms of the number of deaths, for example, outside of Hubei province, which is the epicenter for this COVID-19 in China. Other provinces are rapidly achieving in their situation, improving in their situation. And I think it will still take some time. We cannot be complacent. Now, in terms of the impact on the Chinese economy, definitely it will take a major toll on the Chinese economy. According to my calculation, eventually, China will probably lose up to about 20 working days in this epic fight against the coronavirus. That means more or less about 1 month, 1 calendar month, in terms of lost opportunities of work, especially in the manufacturing sector. It's much better if China and the United States can get along with each other nicely. We may not agree on anything that we come across, for example, but to instigate complete confrontation or to relaunch a Cold War between China and the United States is the worst scenario for either the United States or China. I'm a firm believer in long-term economic and political relations between China and the United States. Why? Because first of all, by default, you cannot come up with anything else. If the United States really want to manhandle China, it cannot succeed. China is such a factor. No one in the world can push China down and hold China on the ground, as we have seen in the trade war. Whatever the United States is doing, China stands firm, and China is not caving in to the pressure from the United States. I'm a believer that we all need to do our work to promote better relations between China and the United States, because that will be a plus for the capital markets in Wall Street as well as here in China. It will be a plus for all the economies in the world, including, for example, in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia. For example, Saudi Arabia is such a strong ally or strong friend of the United States. But Saudi Arabia is also a great friend of China. And we are very grateful for all the assistance and support and solidarity that the Saudi Arabian Kingdom government has expressed during Chinese fight against the coronavirus. We are all in the same boat. Confrontation gets us nowhere.
But the next area of confrontation is almost certainly the technology, and the Huawei situation is a reflection of that. A very aggressive stance the US has taken against Huawei technology, and the pressure it's put on its allies to not use Huawei. So do you expect technology to be the next front in the trade war?
Allow me to make several points. First of all, Huawei is a technological company. It's a very great, excellent, leading 5G technology company. but it also produces many telecom equipment like smartphone, etc. Now, for your records, for your reference, China has been using American-made technologies like crazy ever since 1978 for the second G, third G, fourth G, etc. Most of the equipment China uses were imported from the United States. And the Chinese political system survived, even though we used all kinds of American-made technologies and equipment. So I think the US government is barking at the wrong tree to single out Huawei as if Huawei as a company could really threaten the political survivability of the US political system. That's not true. That's really an overstatement. I think what the United States is really worried about is for a technological company like Huawei, which can be so excellent, which can be beating its competitors like crazy, which can be ahead of the game by 3 years or 5 years, and which now can offer 5G solutions at about 1/3 of the cost of their most immediate competitors and at a higher reliability. I think the US government really need to think about whether they can benefit by engaging with Huawei rather than meeting up with Huawei. Now, allow me to make one point. If all the overseas markets walk away from Huawei, what will happen? Huawei will completely withdraw back into China. And based on 1.4 billion people market, that probably will boost Huawei's development even more rapidly. And eventually, it will be a stronger competitor in the global, on the global stage. I think it is time for us to look at China, how China can better engage with the Middle East, not only as a trader, but also as an economic cooperator, and also eventually as a political cooperator. I think for the Middle East to have stability rather than war, to minimize conflict, to minimize animosity between and among Middle Eastern countries is the better way forward. To have peace and stability and cooperation will be what's needed for the Middle East. And China is a factor. China is always happy to help, and China cannot live without the Middle East.
Victor Gao, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. We're sorry you can't be here in person because I'm sure there are a few people on our panel who would like to challenge some of the things you've said, but we'll capture them and we'll certainly discuss them in the next panel. Very good luck. Do stay safe, stay well, and we'll stay in touch. Thanks. Please, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Victor Gao.